Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Love in Black and White, where each week we try to put the love
back in your right. That's what we do. We have the sexiest of guests today. You guys
Dude, I'm here every week.
Oh, I know.
Let's not make this about
Oh,
me.
Duane's here too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
wait, I got to do our intros, man.
Let's do it. Sorry. I'm excited that Duane's here.
Robert's in the chat. Duane, I'm highlighting this so you can see.
I see it? Yep.
Okay, perfect. What up, Robert? Yes, as always, I'm one of your hosts, Big Irish Jay Hollingsworth, and we have the Coco co-host, Manulus Rojas Martin Jr.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining.
Duane's like, what in the fuck have I gotten myself into?
Is this a UFC podcast? I'm not supposed to be on this. And welcome. Got me from the red shorts.
And we got our guest this week, a very good buddy of ours. Manny and myself are really familiar with Duane. Duane is a comic from Seattle, Washington, born and raised in Canada.
Canada, yes. Well, born and then mostly raised in the States. Let's be honest. Yeah, I moved here when I was like 14. I'm like 78 years old now.
Yes. And Duane Duane, how long have you been doing stand-up, Duane?
25 years. I think November is 25 years.
And you have been married how long?
20 years. Yesterday, 20 years.
Yeah, I saw that online, man. Very excited. Yeah. I don't want to look like I was excited to like compliment you online, but I just, on here, yes. But
I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks. Yeah, 20 years. Yeah.
Manny, Victoria mentioned we're matching again. They don't even.
What are the odds? Planned. What are the odds? I feel like we should have given Duane the background.
Oh yeah, we could have. But
I've got the green here. I'm like, it's like Pretty in Pink. I don't want to see where you live, where I live. Okay, I don't want to see where I live.
So, Duane, so you celebrated how long? How many years did you say?
20 years.
Golly.
Yeah.
Now
20 years married, and then we've been together 24 years, but married 20.
Yeah. Wow. And, wait. So she was with you during that first year of comedy? Like
no, because I started about 90. I might have got my dates wrong. I might have started 95, I guess.
Okay.
Improv in Seattle.
Are you asking us?
Yes, I think you should have my bio and most of my background. My people should have sent it over. So I think, so I met her about 2 years into doing it professionally. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Full-time job. So, and then she was a waitress at a club. That's how I met her. She was going to UW because she's smart.
Yeah.
And then she was a terrible waitress at a comedy club. so she quit, and then I started really digging her. I mean, we kind of went out a couple times, but then she quit. I kind of like, you should quit just because there's that thing don't date the wait staff. Like, yeah, you're right, I shouldn't. You should quit, and then we can fall in love. And,
I'm surprised she wasn't like, I mean, I watched you. Maybe you should quit.
She was. Thank you, Jay. She talked. So she got her papers too. Got her background. And then in 1997, she said, Duane, why don't you try law or maybe accounting?
Real quick, I want to give a shout out to everybody that's in here. Robert, Cookie, Victoria, Carla, Sandy, Sanders, K Pearl, Ioka, excuse me, and Daphne is in here. So hello, everybody. We just started. Duane is a comic that's been doing it since they've invented microphones, and
Jesus was a baby.
Yeah, Moses was his opener, and
that Bernie Bush thing's a bit hack. Can you maybe try
his set list? There's 10 things on his set list.
You need notes? Can't you just do it? Really? You need stone notes to do this comedy?
And Duane just celebrated 20 years together. Now, okay, who approached who? That's who. I'm assuming you approached her.
Funny. I think she maybe approached me because I would sit like at that point. I didn't really know a lot of comics because I was fairly new to the Seattle scene because I had worked the Improv, which was there was the Showbox, became the Improv, then went back to Showbox. But like I never had to do open mics at first, and I never had to. I just kind of got in lucky because I worked for a bank, and they did this Funniest Banker contest, and my staff signed me up because I had done stand up a bit with a buddy. And so I won this contest. I was working the Improv, so I never had to do the other clubs. And then I finally got in the underground, and then the guy from Giggle said, hey, come to the club. And that's where she worked. And I would just sit by myself in the bar because I didn't know anybody. And then and I had like much more hair back then. And so she said, you look like Dylan from 90210. So I kind of, every time she come in from getting a drink, I just go, hey, Brian, how you doing? Just to be funny with her. And then she was like, she started doing the Shannon Doherty. She's like, oh my God, Dylan, you've been drinking. And I was like, oh my God, she's like hot and funny. Like, this is... So then it was just like kind of steamroll from there. We kind of like, I think we went to, all the waiters and all the wait staff at that point, a lot of the guys were frat guys at UW. So they say we're having this party. So I went over to this party with them and like passed out, which is a nice way to welcome her. Like, hi, here's your future. And like they were gonna go to a hot tub, and they said, you want to come in the hot tub? I go, fuck no, not that germ bath with all you sickos. And I just I think I fell asleep on the couch. The next morning, of course, they had written a dick in my head and everything else.
Jesus.
But I went to the club that night, and she wasn't working, but the guy said, oh, she said if you ask, I can give her your number. So I called her, and then we had our second date. In fact, my son is 16 now, right? So I don't know how this came up about a week ago. It was we went to Red Robin, I think, because it was like a birthday deal or something. So we went to Red Robin, and I said, oh, this mom and our first date was at Red Robin, just kind of like a casual deal, And I showed up. I swear to Christ, I was wearing Doc Martens, a denim overalls, and a backward Kango hat.
What?
and hoop earrings. And she makes fun of it. I go, you know what? Say what you want. I must have looked okay because you took the second date.
Right.
So obviously my Donnie Wahlberg vibe was flying.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I look back, I'm like, oh Christ. I mean, the poor gal had so many chances to get out.
So good.
Victoria, I was just gonna say, Victoria asked, Duane, did you ever perform at the Parlor? Yes, he did. And he knows one of the stories already, but I'm wondering where the echo is coming from. I keep getting an echo. But there's two stories, great stories I have about Duane at the Parlor, which we'll get into in a bit here. What were you about to ask, Manny? Were you about to ask?
Oh, I just wanted to just let everybody know, Duane's wife is hilarious because we were asked to do a school function, and literally, it's all teachers, it's faculty. Jay goes up, he does great, doesn't swear once. I go up, and I don't know why I just start swearing and saying all these jokes. But Duane's wife comes up to me afterwards. She's like, I'm probably going to lose my job because of what you did. And I'm just sweating and feeling awful the whole time. And then basically her and Duane look at me and they're like, we're fucking with you. Calm down. You did great. You know what I mean? And I just was I was mortified. I thought I had just ruined everybody's careers. So she's on point.
Yeah.
Both ears pierced, Duane.
Yes, both ears pierced. Both ears pierced twice.
Oh.
Yeah. So I doubled up. I was doubling up on your, yeah. Right. What a sad mess.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, what was that? That was about now 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah, right before. I think it was the November before COVID kicked in.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I was staying with Manny, and Manny was like, "Oh, I'm doing this thing. Duane's got a show I'm doing on." I was like, "I'm gonna go with you in surprise." And then Duane's like, "You want to go up?" And I'm like, "I mean, I'll never turn down stage time." So you were like, or I think I don't know if I asked you or what, but I did clean. But and then
you did great. Both of you guys did fantastic. You guys the hit of the night for us.
and then we were like, oh, we got to fuck with Manny. I mean, and you didn't even say anything too bad. I think it was
I'm sure it was fine. Yeah,
but yeah. It's unfortunate she lost that job though.
They demoted her. Now she's the janitor.
Yeah. Now okay, so she was working in a comedy club when you guys met. How long had she been working at the comedy club?
I don't think very long. She was going to UW, and I think it was kind of a thing. She said, "Oh, I thought it'd be fun to work here," and then she goes, "And it's not fun." She liked the people, but I mean, people would bail on her check, and she'd have to pay it. You know what I mean? So maybe you should probably do your job and come around more than once. But I should have known then because I put all the dishes away here. So it's the trade-offs. That's what makes it work, gang.
The reason I was asking how long she worked there is because and we've talked about this on the podcast a lot, is that dating it takes a very specific man or woman to date a comic. Because we're on the road most, date nights are usually weekends, and we're usually on the road on the weekends, and then You know, a lot of times even during the week we'll get spots or we'll go to work, you know, new jokes and stuff. Was she from the jump? Was she cool with all that, the schedule? Or
I think so, yeah, because I think we had our first date and then I was gone for like a few weeks, and then we came back, had a second date, and luckily there was nobody good coming to the club in those 2 weeks I was gone, so I felt like I had a pretty good shot for the second date. I think it was Michael Winslow, perhaps, might have been.
That's one of my stories.
Pew, pew. Beep, bop, boop, beep, boop. Let me call her. Is that a phone? It's not. It's my hand. Yeah, no, but it was she was really cool with it, and I think it was like, I think for us it kind of just worked. I mean, I don't think it works for everybody, but it worked for us. It was kind of like, you know, maybe I'm the kind of guy you need a break from after 10 minutes into a podcast.
Makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, you know, it's so interesting because I think originally when me and my wife got together, it was like a thing of having to learn that I had to include this other person because I just wanted to be a big kid with Jay. So I would just go do shows and not ask permission. And she was like, you know, that's fine that you're doing shows with Jay, but I'd like to spend some time with you. And I was just like, well, why the fuck do you want to spend time? You know, like a dumbass. So it was definitely a learning experience for me. So, you know,
well, I got to
like
say, because there was a time there where I was just going to the club, not even to do, like, I hit open mics, and it wasn't even to seem to do stand-up. It was more of a social thing.
Right.
And I would just drink, and I got, you know, it wasn't good. I mean, I'm lucky I was able to kind of snap out of it a bit, but there was a time there where I look back and I'm like, you know, I probably would have, if I were her, I would have said, you know, this ain't working. Because I was just getting drunk. Like it was just, I'd come home, it would be a mess, you know, and I'm like,
right.
And so, you know, I'm, you know, I kind of hopefully, but then it was really nice because it was like she said something to me that kind of made me feel better, but also was like a backhanded compliment. It was like, well, you never went to college, so you never had those drinking. I'm like, hey, I'm not stupid.
It's so funny because, yeah, I'm the same way. I didn't go to like a 4 years, so I didn't get to experience.
I went to community college.
Same here.
Yeah.
Got my associates.
I went to USC, University of Shoreline Community. Hey, local joke. But yeah, but she said that to me, and she goes, you know, you never had all those drinking kind of moments. I go, yeah, but I'm a little too old to it. And then we had a kid, and I was like, still like, I would go out to drink because like I've been home with my son all day, and now she's home. I go, I need some time for, you know, it was kind of a mess. So yeah, I had to give her up to her because you know, anybody else would have said, all right, pack your shit and beat it.
Yeah. One of your best buddies just commented. He said the money keeps them coming back.
Tony Daniel.
Yeah. Well, that's sad because there was a time there at a club that I was drinking to cover my drinking tabs. I was doing weekends, headlining weekends to cover a drinking tab. Yeah. So
what's up, Tony? Tony Daniel, very funny comic up in Seattle also.
Tony Daniel is one of the first guys so me and Tony would go to the club every weekend to do open mic, and we would never get on. And I mean, we must gone. It seemed like for months we were going there, and we just sit together. It's like we signed up. We never got up at the underground, and then finally they put us both up the same night, I think back to back or something. But Tony's the best and so funny, and I love Tony.
Oh yeah, Tony is great. Now, so somebody just asked how many years, and you've said it now. You said it at the beginning, Daphne.
20 years. Yeah,
20 years.
20 years married, 25 years in comedy.
So. Yeah, 20. Yeah, but yeah, that's about right. 25 years, like full-time comedy. Yeah.
Tony, I'm still not getting on.
Me neither. I'm doing the Comedy Underground Zoom mics, and they're just not letting me in.
Yeah,
you
got a residency at the Comedy Underground now that it's closed down.
So Jay, what's the story that you were going to tell about Duane?
Well, so there's two of them, and Duane is like, I mean, as funny as Duane is on stage, the off stage are the best shit because Duane's such a fucking shit talker and smart ass. But we were doing a weekend with Michael Winslow, who's now on AGT right now. And
isn't he really?
Yeah, it's so weird. I'm like,
dude, he's on AGT. So's Josh Blue.
What?
Really?
What the fuck are we doing on here?
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, isn't it supposed to be for like undiscovered talent, or is that I guess anybody can go on? So like Chris Rock could go on and do AGT. Like
I would love to see Chris Rock.
Look at this name.
Who is Seth Laser? No, I'm just kidding.
Seth Lazier. Do you remember Seth Lazier from?
I remember Seth Lazier. Yeah, dude.
What up, Seth?
Duane, it has been too long, man.
Sorry, I lost you for a second there. Now you're back. Okay.
Seth Lazier's in the chat.
Oh, hey Seth, what's up?
I would love it.
I just have to say, Seth has one of the best jokes. I don't want to give it away, but it's the happy birthday one. Do you remember that one? Oh, so good.
But okay, so the Michael Winslow story. So Michael Winslow's headlining the Parlor Live, and Duane's featuring. And if you've never seen Michael Winslow live, I mean, it is incredible the shit he can do, like with sound effects. So he has this big closer where a screen would come down behind him, and they would play Star Wars. No audio, and then Michael Winslow would just be doing the sound effects and like covering all of them. He would do all the lasers, the spaceships, everything. Crazy, right? So we get done with the first show, and there's a malfunction with the screen. Do you remember this, Duane?
Yeah, I do.
The screen, like he couldn't bring it down, and so Michael Winslow's like, I can't do my act. I'm not gonna be able to go on stage. I can't, whatever, I can't do it. You need to fix this. I can't do my closer unless you have the screen down. He walks out, and Duane goes, how about you write a fucking joke?
The key part of that is that he walked out. Then I said it. I got balls, everybody.
Oh, dude. Seth sold the happy birthday joke to Rick Kunkler. Oh, God.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah, my favorite Duane Goad story. It was Kevin Pollak.
Yes.
We're in the green room, me, Duane, Kevin Pollak, and it's in between shows, right? We'd done one show.
I think it was before the show. I think it was before the first show on the Friday. Yeah.
Okay, my dog. Hold on, let me bring Wrinkles up here because he wants some attention. I don't know if you know Duane. I got a dog.
Oh, I didn't know you got a dog.
His name's Don Wrinkles.
He's got a bow tie.
Yeah, he's Muslim.
All right. Wow, it's
PC Manny, can you?
My computer's freezing. Shit, I'm sorry.
Oh no. Okay, so
triumph.
Okay, so we're there with Kevin Pollak, and it's either before the show or in between shows. But Kevin Pollak he was reading something, wasn't he?
I think he was doing something. I think he was maybe on his phone reading something on it, or I forget.
So I sent, I don't even remember what my initial text was. I text something to Duane in the green room, and Duane has his alert. It's audible. He doesn't have it on silent. So you just hear this, beep, and as soon as I know that his shit is not on silent, I start sending him one-word text. I think I'm texting him, I'm going to keep texting you till Kevin loses his shit. So it's fucking going crazy. I mean, it's probably now, I keep just sending him. I think it's probably 15 alerts have gone off.
At least, yeah.
To where I can't even be in the room because I'm squirting out my eyes crying, So
it's a new phone. It's a new phone. So I don't even know, I think I just got it maybe that day, and it was and I'm trying to figure out where the settings are, and I can kind of the corner of my eyes see, Pollak's reading something, and he kind of keeps looking up at me like.
And so I leave.
Sweat's coming.
Yeah, I leave, but I'm still texting you nonstop.
Yeah, outside the door. Yeah.
And I'm in tears outside texting you, and then
you're going to get fired. He's hates you. Yeah.
And then didn't he? I don't think he. I think you told me this. I don't think I was in the room when he said this, but didn't he at one point look at you and just go, "Hey, man, I'm sure there's a vibrator."
Yeah. It's so nice. He goes, maybe there's a thing you can turn that off. I go, yeah, I'm trying to find the app. And he's like, well, I don't think it's an app. I think it's just the settings. I go, and I go, I'll get out of here for a second. I need better light. Meanwhile, it's better light in the green room than it is in the showroom, obviously. But I'm so flummoxed. I'm just a second. Oh, it's the worst.
Sandy covered for you, Manny. Do you want to read PC Sandy?
Yes, thank you, Sandy. PC Sandy says, here on Love in Black and White, we support all religions and religious practices. We love Muslims as people and respect their practices. Back to you, Jay and Manny. Sandy, you're a lifesaver. I'm having technical difficulties. You know what? Sometimes I think we just need to rely on some of our best fans.
Yeah. So, So you say you took the battery out? Is that right?
I think I went and just turned it off. I think I just held it down and it turned off. And then I walked out and I'm like, there's a part where I could smoke on the Perler thing. So I'm out there chain smoking, I'm calling my wife. She's like, I don't even have the same phone. I'm like, but it's got it. Kevin's upset and just freaking out. And then Jay's being mean because he's not.
Oh my God.
And then the next night, it comes up again. But now Kevin's kind of cool with this. Like it seemed, that
Yeah.
first time you meet comics, you're like, I don't know who these guys are.
Yeah.
He's such a nice guy, So the next night, we're just chatting, and I thought impressions come up, so we're doing impressions back and forth, and it was just so much fun. And then he said something about, and I think I called Jay. I go, meanwhile, that guy there, Jay, decides he's gonna fuck with me and start making my phone. He's like, you were doing that, this nice Canadian guy. So it all turns on Jay.
Yeah, he called me an asshole. He's like, you asshole. I was like getting pissed.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite stories. It's just,
dude, my two favorite stories. So, like, I got to know Duane at the parlor. Duane was that act that management always would bring in when there was a black show and the black headliner didn't want a black feature, and they were like, we need a white guy who's good enough to make this whole place laugh. And so Duane would always come in, so we'd be stuck on a lot of random ass shows together. But I'll never forget, I'd heard these legendary stories about Duane, like the time he was the only white guy on a black show and like had this gem of a line, right? So the first time, I had heard it was Duane. This other comic, I won't say his name, tells the story as though he is Duane.
Oh, that's right.
Said that he was on with the Wayans brothers, and then says this line that's a gem. And I'm just like, holy shit! Like, people passing off Duane stories. Then there was this other time that I heard.
Tell the story, the gem of the story.
Well, I don't want Duane. Well, okay. So
I don't remember the line because there's
okay,
a few times.
This happened a few times. So I'll tell the first story. So the first story is, Duane's working with all these black comics that have known him for years. It's an all black crowd, so they're extra yo, white people do this. White people, blah 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 blah. And so Duane is the only white person on the show. He gets up on stage. He was like, I can't even remember. You said something like, you know what? We're too busy working. And then the whole crowd just erupts. But another comic that we know, I'll tell you.
It was about dance. They said something about,
dance. I can't dance.
Yeah. White people can't dance. I go, look, you're right. I can't dance. I'm too busy working, providing for my family. I could always get it to work for a while. I wouldn't have the nuts to try it now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get them.
You need PC Manny on stage.
Yeah.
Exactly. Back then.
Yeah. But
it was always a Rick Astley joke at the front, and they wanted me to dance. And they said, because I go, you expect me to come out and dance? That's what it was. And I'm like, I wouldn't dare ask you guys to come out and dance for me, for my
right.
And it was it was stuff like you could get away with it back then, but
yeah. Then the second time, and I had heard this because somebody had told me, they were like, yeah, Duane had this joke that was it was fire, it was great, it was like just a barn burner of a joke. He turns on the TV late one night, and his wife is in bed with him. Here's the joke, wakes him up, and is like, holy shit, babe, that's your joke on TV, right? So, and I had heard that was Duane's, story. And then he tells me it in the green room without me even mentioning it. And I was like, okay, of course. This other comic that we know, who I'll tell you after this, walks in the green room and he's like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. My wife woke me up late one night and was like, babe, he's doing your joke on TV. And I was just like, I look across the room at Duane. We don't say shit to each other. And it was like, holy shit. So it's like, we're even stealing off stage, like real stories to like, what are we doing? So
well, dude,
it was
like, you guys know the story of Jay Moore and Bert Kreischer. Do you know about that?
No.
I think it's.
Oh, yes. It's the Tracy Morgan
story. Yeah. So Bert Kreischer, this really happened to Bert Kreischer, and he told Jay Moore about this thing that happened to him. And then Jay Moore was going out on stage saying it happened to him, like it was his story. And Bert Kreischer's like, yo, what the fuck? Do you want to tell the actual story?
Oh yeah, you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, Bert was a bouncer at a club, and he one night is gonna do a show with Tracy Morgan, and Tracy's there, and I think that they called Bert Sugar Bear or something like that. And so they were like, hey yo, Sugar Bear, blah blah blah, you want to do some time? He goes up and does time and whatever, and Tracy's like, hey yo, you want to smoke some weed with us, right? And so he smokes the weed with them. And he was like, yo, I didn't know you like to get wet. I didn't know you like to get crazy. He was like, what are you talking about? He was like, that was Sherm that you just smoked. He was like, what? He was like, yeah, man, that was angel dust. And so he's like freaking out, and he looks at Tracy's like manager and is like, is he for real? Or whoever the club manager was. He was like, is he for real? He was like, nah, he's just fucking with you. He was like, oh, thank God. I thought he really did. He was like, oh no, he probably really gave you some. He was just, but what are you gonna do, right? So they go to this restaurant afterwards, and it's literally Tracy, all his entourage, and then Bert is the only white guy, and they're sitting at the table. You know, Tracy's just holding court, making everybody laugh. He's like, da, 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 da. So ordered like probably $1,000 worth of food. Bill comes, they hand it to Bert, right? And Bert's like, what the fuck? You know, they put it down in front of him, and Tracy is like, yo, what the fuck is this? And so he's like, yo, you think just because he's white, this motherfucker got money? He was like, yo, I'm the motherfucker with money. And security comes over and they're like, yo, my man, and put their hand on Tracy's shoulder. And Tracy goes, hey, yo, I ain't your man. And like a cartoon, he goes, whap, punches one security guard, whap, punches another security guard. All out brawl breaks out. So Bert's still on like, you know, Sherm or whatever he smoked. He's outside freaking out. He's like, holy shit. You know, I'm seeing Tracy get thrown around. He's standing up. And you know how the steps are in New York where you have to walk up to walk out of the club.
Yeah.
He says he sees a lifeless Tracy Morgan fly out onto the street. It just land like he looks dead in front of him. And then a shirt flies out behind him. And he's like, holy shit, like Tracy's dead. Tracy looks up at him and he's like, that's how you get out of $1,000 check. You know what I mean? And it just was fucking insane. And so I don't do the story justice, but I mean, that was a story. And so, but he had passed it off as though it was like Jay Moore passed it off as though it was his story. And, you know, because Bert was like a feature, you know, he didn't feel like he could actually step in and say anything or else he'd lose that on the road. And that's one of the reasons he says he doesn't bring anybody with him on the road, because he doesn't want anybody to ever feel that pressure of, you know, but it's fucking nuts, man. But I'm still just like, I was blown away that people were not only trying to steal your material, but just stealing your stories. Like, how low do you have to be to steal a story? You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
My favorite, like, because we hear all these hundreds of stories of Duane and shit he's done, but and I wasn't here for this. And please tell the story, Duane, about I think it was at Giggles, and there was a comic that he was a real asshole, but he had like a physical handicap, I think.
Oh yeah. So
what if I just end it right here? Nobody has any.
This is
this is my
so this was me and the late great Brody Stevens and Tana Manu. So when I started hitting Giggles, that became kind of my spot. I was always with those guys. So
yeah,
we would do every open mic, and back then they used to give us like a Thursday to kind of, even though we weren't ready, he would give us Thursday night to headline, basically, you know. And so we would do like, he would come in and I would MC and one of us would middle and the other one would headline, and we kind of flip flopped or whatever. So there was a comic that I think he had some kind of a brain injury. Well, I know he did, but I don't remember exactly what happened. But he would go up and he had this joke, and it was he would say, "I like to date homeless women because I can drop them off anywhere." And we're like, "Oof." And then I happened to watch this movie, 3,000 Miles to Graceland, and David Arquette does that joke in the movie. So the next couple nights I see him, I go, "Hey man, I just watched this movie," and that joke is, I don't think he's used that joke because it's in this movie. He's like, "I never seen the movie," and I said, "Well, I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying maybe I might drop it."
Yeah.
And he goes,
by the way, what that accent? What is that?
I believe it's in Mid-Atlantic. But,
very fast. I love it.
He goes, keep doing
Sandy
the joke.
said, hold on, Sandy said, even why the voice though? That's how he sounded.
I know.
Yeah,
That's how we did it. I don't just tell the joke, Sandy. I become the joke. Now you feel like you're actually there. I do all the characters, and he was wearing a red shirt. So anyways, he goes up and does it. And I said, well, whatever, man. It's your career. Do what you want. And so then we're like sitting back, we're all like, and he would crush. This guy would kill every night. And we're like, do you think he's killing because people find this shit funny? Or do you think they just feel bad for him because he's obviously had some kind of head trauma, you know?
Right.
And they go, and so we said, we should find out. So we planned the next open mic that we would all go up with some kind of, you know,
ailment.
Yeah, I don't want to say disability. It was an ailment. So I went up and I was a deaf comedian. Brody went up like he was blind. And then Tina, I think, just had a limp. And so I lost you there for a second. Hold on there. Okay, you're back.
We can
You
still
back?
see you.
Okay.
You on that Canadian dial-up?
Yeah, this is coming out of Burnaby. And so, I'm stealing it from my Burnaby neighbors. So anyways, I go up and I think I did, I was like, so I go, just like, and again, Sandy, this is part of the joke. I went up and I said, it's a pleasure to be here. Hello, everybody. And I said, as you can tell, I have hearing loss. My father was always very embarrassed of it until I was 15. He told me I had a head cold. And we would just kind of pull this.
You got a
Hold
doctor's
on,
office?
wait.
What is that?
Hold on, real quick.
That's my landline.
I just have to PC Manny that. I just want to say here on the Love and Black and White podcast, we just want to say if you have a hearing impairment, you're probably not hearing what I'm saying right now. But if you put on the captions and you're watching this, just know that you are very loved and you're appreciated by us here on Love and Black and White, especially by Duane. Back to you guys.
Also, can I say, if you do have the captions on, you probably can't read them because of the way Duane was making it sound.
So the next comic to go up is Brody, and he's blind, and he's I think Yoshi actually brought him up by the elbow onto the stage. And then Brody, of course, crushes it as a blind comic. He's like, y'all look great. And he's looking the other way. And then Tana goes up, and of course he's emceeing. He's got this weird limp thing, and then but in the meantime, we're like bringing up like 3 different comics in between us, so it's not just a cavalcade. It's just like, and so it's working for what it is. And then I think Tana breaks the news to the crowd, like, hey, we're not. And he runs up there and he starts doing like these stretches, and we go up there after him, and we're fine. And he's like, we're trying to see if we're getting laughs because you find this funny because you feel bad for us. And the crowd's like, they turn on us, obviously. They're like, hey, we've been duped. Meanwhile, there's 4 or 5 more comics. And when this guy, the whole time, who actually has the hit, we're keeping him in the bar the whole time. He has no idea what's going on. When it's finally time for him to go up, he goes on stage like, hey, everybody. I like to date homeless women. And then just some guy yells out, it's not funny, man. And then he yells back, you're not funny. And it became a back and forth thing. And we just sat in the back and just pissed ourselves laughing.
Oh my
and
God.
it worked for what it was, because it was like, you can't just take someone else's jokes. It's like, you drove here, dude.
Yeah.
You're not that bad off. Like, you can still realize that you shouldn't steal jokes. So
Carly
this was
how is this show still on the air?
Yeah, I just want to blanket cover this as PC Manny. I just want to say anything said on this show is all out of love, because that's what we do here in Love and Black and White. We put the love back in. You're right. Back to you guys.
I mean, and in I guess Duane or all of you guys' defense, which I don't think you need to defend it, but different time then.
Oh yeah,
like
1998. I mean, obviously we're not going to pull this stuff now because the way when we were younger comics back then, and we're trying to find our way, and that was the thing. I was like the angry comic for a while, which I had nothing to be angry about, and I was like the I want to be the squeaky clean, super happy comic, which I just hated, So you're always finding your way, but these were things that, this is what comics do in the back. These are open mic nights, these aren't filmed, and
not only
I'm not going to apologize for all this shit. That's
okay. Fucking
right.
easy. We got PC Manny for that. Also, the other thing too is like, even if this guy was an asshole or whatever, you guys are all still comics, so it's like. That puts you guys all in a different. You're not doing this to a guy off the street. This is like a fellow comic.
Yeah, he was a comic, and I actually gave him a joke. I sold it to him. He said something. I go, "Where are you from, by the way?" And he said, "Detroit." I said, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. When I think of you, I think of Motown." He was like this white guy who got a cane, and he goes, "Oh, that's great. Can I have it?" I go, "Yeah, for $50." And he went and got $50 and gave it to me, and then went on stage that night and did it. And it tanked. And then he goes, didn't work. I go, it was funny out here. You got a receipt? I'm not. I'm trying to make $50.
Yeah, this is an Amazon. You can't return this shit.
For people listening, Tony Daniel just said, "I watch Canadian porn because of Duane." Like,
thanks, Tony.
Lives.
What the fuck is that?
Oh
Duane,
man. What you know what? So back to because we're a relationship show primarily. Exactly. What are some of the best things about being married and being a comic? I mean, do you feel like it bleeds into your comedy? What do you feel?
Oh, for sure. My wife is really funny. I mean, a lot of the best stuff I have, I think, are just things that she may have said, and I've kind of taken it and ran with it a bit. Like I had,
Yep.
there was something a couple weeks ago. I don't know. It was just, like when you have a dream, nobody wants to hear about your goddamn dreams,
Right.
And I said something about this dream, and then she said, "Oh, what?" And then what happened? And I, some dream where I don't know, she wasn't happy with it or something with my dream. I said, "Oh, then I grew wings and flew to Blowjob Island." That's what happened. and without a beat, she just goes, and all the guys are like, "Duane's finally here." Hey. It was like that in the kitchen during making dinner. Like that's how fast. So she's super funny, and so, and we just laugh. Like we really do. I mean, we get along really well. I think we do for the most part. I mean, she puts up with a lot of my. I'm a bit of a clean freak, so I'm always whining about, "Hey, what's that smell?" Or, "Hey, did anybody wash? We gotta wash this or clean." And I'm just a pain in the ass when it comes to cleaning stuff because I have to vacuum like 3 times a day, and I gotta have everything, But then she'll say, "Well, I see dust there," and I'm like, "What did you say to me?" And I just, get all angry, leave the house, sit in the car, just a tear.
How long did you date before you proposed?
So it was about I think we'd been together maybe a year, then we moved in together, and I think I proposed on Christmas Eve and made her mad before I did. So that wasn't great.
Wait, okay, how's that?
Well, so it was Christmas Eve, and all of our families are coming over on Christmas Day. We had a small apartment in Seattle.
Like she's Jewish.
Well, no, she's half Filipino and half guy from Boston, and so they were coming over, and I was cleaning, and she was cooking. She was baking something in the kitchen. I go, "Are you almost done in there? Because I got to clean that kitchen." And she was like, "I got to wait for this cake." I go, "Well, no one's going to eat all this. We got all this food. No one's going to eat it anyway." And then she got really mad. She goes, "I'm going to the room to read." And she slammed the door. I'm like, "Oof, we have a TV in there. She's going to read? Yikes. I'm in trouble." So I'm like, and part of it is, I'm going to propose like in an hour because I really wanted to finish my cleaning, then propose. That was the whole idea. But I had to have everything clean first,
You're clean.
So then I'm like,
always your romance.
Like, yeah, I just want to have the setting set. Like, oh, it smells like Windex, and she'll remember this. It's all sense memory. I read it in the book.
Wait, can I clean this before we get intimate? That's what I'm gonna start saying to my wife.
So she's in the room, and then I knock. I go, "Hey, could you come out? I need to give you your gift tonight because it's too big to wrap." And she goes, "Fine." And she comes in. So she can't be that mad. She's still coming out to get the gift. She's like, "Fine, I'll come get stuff you bought from." So she sat down, and then I had the ring. I was on one knee, and I proposed, and she said yes. And that's when I realized how important jewelry was when it comes to fighting. I don't know if I would try it. Like, "Oh, what are you getting all dressed up for? You don't get dressed up like that for me, but you're going to goor it up with your friends." What'd you say? I said, "How about some earrings?" So you just got it. But that's how I proposed. And that was Christmas Eve. And I think it was like the next summer. I think maybe we got married in New Hampshire. Nice. Right outside in Hudson, New Hampshire.
Where's she from again? Is she from the East Coast?
No, well, so her parents are from New Hampshire, and then her mom is from the Philippines.
Okay.
And her dad was in the Navy. So, yeah, so we were going there like for the first couple. I was got there 2 years, I think, to plan the wedding and doing a lot of stuff from here. She was doing, I wasn't doing. All thing I did was I checked for the DJ,
right,
and its tapes, which is nothing better than all these guys. Like, "Look, I got wicked CDs, I got wicked music, I got wicked speakers. If you hire me, I'll make your special day extremely wicked." I'm like, he's a word.
Now, did her family? How did they respond to her saying, "Yes, this is Duane, my fiance, who is a stand-up comedian"?
I think they came to see me at the Underground one night, and I didn't have a good set. And I'm thinking that probably was like, "Oof." Like, that's the guy. Like,
is he deaf?
Is he the blind one or the? Plus, I opened with, "I like to date homeless women." So they came and it didn't go well. I remember that, but they were nice to me. I mean, it was I wasn't privy to the conversations that they had, and you know, I don't think she's going to tell me like they weren't too jazzed. So probably best if she doesn't tell me, because I hate to find out. But I mean, her family's great, and her brother and his wife are great. Her brother's really funny guy. So, you know, I got lucky there. But yeah, I didn't know how that was going to go, because it was a rough set.
I was going to say that's the worst, is like I'm, you know, whether it's a date or somebody that I'm seeing will come to a show, and it never gets in my head like, oh, somebody's here, or I brought somebody with me, so I have to do something spectacular, whatever. It doesn't faze me one way or another.
Right.
But you know, somebody may come with you somewhere and you have a bad set and you're just like, and usually they're like, oh, good job, that was great, and you're like,
yeah, she's had coworkers come see me, and I've had a terrible set.
Oh yeah, everybody knows that feeling.
And then to the point, she goes, and I like her boss, like I don't know if he was a superintendent or what he was, but he was coming, and she goes, please don't do this joke. And I forget the joke, it was really offensive, you know. I said, oh, and I remember this is my mentality is like, oh, I see, because your boss is coming, everybody loses out. That's what I thought. The rest of the crowd would lose out for this one offensive joke that I had.
This dick
joke.
Fine,
I won't do it. Then instead, I did stuff that was worse. Like it just kind of came out like stream of consciousness. It was terrible, and I was like, oh, even as I'm saying, I can't stop. I'm like, this. I never say that word anymore. Like the R word. Like I gave up that word years ago, and it came out, and like these people work at school. I'm like. And I remember afterwards, people were like going, good set. And I go, oh, thanks. And then like months later, going to the school and running into one of the coworkers, maybe husbands or something. And he's like, yeah, last time we saw you was at that comedy club. That was a pretty rough set. And I go, yeah, well, it wouldn't be so rough if you guys would grow up, and if you could listen to things like adults. I totally jumped all over this guy's ass and like walked away. Meanwhile, like it's like the night in the movie watch the Trolls with all the kids. And I'm getting with this dude.
Now your set, when you like, you know, when you in your set you have jokes. I mean, like I think about the one the daycation joke you have, and the or staycation, excuse me, and or the one where you know with the Russian voice, the accent.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Have you ever, like, if you have a joke that's going to include your wife, do you ever run it by her, or do you feel like you have a good enough gauge to know? Like,
well, I think I've got a pretty enough gauge, but I still run some stuff by her. And then, like, even when, like, with the school kind of things that you guys came and helped out with, I've kind of gone over, like, is this hard if I do this bit? Or she's like, maybe not. Maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, I used to do a bit about her liking the song, and she hated the song. It was years ago, like, when we first started dating, Enrique Iglesias had that song, Hero.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to do my lame impression of it, because I used to do, like, a set. I always do like a thing in my act where I take like the 5 top hit songs on the radio, and I make fun of them, because there's always a thing that would work, you know. So I'd make some joke about it. So I would do Enrique Iglesias. I go, got that song of his, that Hero song. It sounds like he's singing as like a drive-by, like, would you be my hero, baby? And I would always say my wife loves it. It's a terrible joke. And I go, my wife loves it. And she goes, I fucking hate that song. Stop telling me I like that.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't give a fuck about the joke. Just don't put that on me. I don't know if you think I have shitty taste in music.
God, yeah, that's exactly how it is with mine. So, like, I have I say my wife is white, but she's like white. She's like Joanne Fabric white. And she's like, I don't fucking shop at Joanne Fabric. So I was like, but it's such a good joke. People laugh. So she's like, fine.
I've got my wife Joanne Fabric joke too. And I think she didn't mind that one, because it was true. Oh. Yeah, because I bought her a sewing machine for Christmas, and then she was like, oh, and then she wanted to make something for us. And we happened to go there with her, and they have catalogs, and there's a picture of a father and son wearing these matching denim shirts, like Garth Brooks shirts. And I just was waiting for her, and I just took a picture of it and posted. I said, my wife's learning to sew. My son and I are fucked. And just posted it. These two idiots, these two father and son. And she goes like, "Oh, great! I guess I'll be making stuff for you guys." So every once in a while, I'll say something that she'll get a little upset with. So I go, "Okay, I'll take it up."
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there one that you know of off the top of your head? Like, this one was the one we actually got in an argument about?
Well, we've never really gotten in a big argument about them. I would, in fact, we would have arguments. We'd have an argument here, and I'd go to the club and talk about it on stage about our argument that night, and. It was almost like therapy for me. But I remember one night we were going to do pizza night, She goes, hey, we're gonna do pizza night. She goes, at 4:00, make sure you take the dough out of the fridge and put it on the counter. And I said, okay. So like 5:30, I'm like, oh shit. I ran out, put the dough on the counter, and then she came home. And I'm feeling guilt because I was an hour and a half late. So she came home and she goes, did you put? Oh, okay, you did. I go, what? I put it out. She goes, yeah, but I mean, just left. I go, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know what I was supposed. I didn't know it was. I'm sorry. I haven't been trained yet. I haven't got my food handler card. My first day. Jesus Christ! What does it cost to like get a pizza order? Like $5? Let's just rent. Let's order a pizza.
Did you just say let's rent?
I know. I almost said let's rent a pizza. Let's just order a pizza. And she's like, she was gonna make pizza night. So she gets in there. She's like making her pizza, and my lump of dough is just sitting there. Like, I guess I'm on my own. I'm like, that's fine. I mean, I can figure this out. I'm not a moron. And so she puts hers in, and it looks beautiful. Like, I'm not a big pizza guy, but this looks like a great pizza. It's like a gourmet. And mine, I do my thing. I remember like I Love Lucy bits where she's throwing it, and
Yeah.
And I put mine in, and it comes out, and it looked like
good reference, by the way, very current.
Lucy.
You guys know the Marx Brothers?
I have nothing for this. Look how red I'm getting now because I don't have a line for it.
You know what's sad though? I instantly can visualize the
Same
video.
here,
I know exactly what
in
you're
black
talking
and
about.
white, just the dough on her face. And
I don't know what reality show they're making pizza on right now because I'm not a lady. Sorry, which Real Housewives would that work for you, Jay? Was the one with Orange County and Bethany making the pizza? Anyway,
Victoria said, "Who is Lucy?"
Oh, Victoria, you know exactly. Don't act dumb, Victoria. You know who Lucy is. It's Lucia Ball. She's born in August of 1911. I remember my very first book report. I did it on Lucille Ball.
No shit. Hilarious.
All right,
so I make this pizza and it comes out and it's just a mess. It looked like a pizza fell on a guy's boot. It was just disgusting. And I ate it just to prove like I'll eat it. And I was so sick, but I didn't let anybody in the family know. I'm not going to know I'm sick. I was starving. I think I was eating Fruity Pebbles at 11:30 when everybody's in bed. Like,
speaking of boot, great movie, Das Boot. You want to reference that one?
When did that come out, Jay? You know we're the same age, right, Jay? We're the exact same age. Yeah. In fact, you may be older than me. I think you might be.
I might be. Tony said back before they let black people on TV. Jesus.
Oh my God.
God.
I'm sorry, Tony. It was the Good Times episode, is what I remember. It was the Good Times episode. And JJ were making pizza, and JJ's pizza was a mess, and I was making like JJ's pizza. It was not a dynamite.
Oh my God. So
Jesus. Good. All right. Now, so what would you say? What is there? I mean, I'm sure, and I know all this stuff is getting sprung on you spur of the moment, but what would you say is good advice for a comic trying to get into a relationship or dating, and also for somebody dating a comic? Because you're a success story. You know?
Well, yeah. Let's get the wife in to talk about that success. As you can tell, I'm in a different room with a green screen. I don't know. I mean, I'm probably the last guy to tell anybody advice on stuff, but it just works for us. I mean, it's been, I think the fact that she's kind of like, she knows what's funny. Like, she introduces me to stuff that I'm like, oh, that's so stupid. Like, I have this thing where anything new, like these new shows and stuff, like, I don't watch that dumb thing. Right. And then she'll introduce me to something which is hilarious, like that Tim Robinson thing. I had no idea what it was, and then they were watching it. It's my favorite thing in the world right now.
Dude, it's crazy you mentioned that. Do you know? I'm trying to see if one of these things will fix the echo because I can hear the echo a little bit. I don't know. Anyways, fuck, I don't know. Gabe Botten, the guy I was telling you about for that gig, he was just here and he had me watch these. And dude, Sean loves that show, Sean McCann.
Yeah.
And what's it called? I Think You Should Leave.
Yeah, I Think You Should Leave Now. Is that what it's? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's like hit or miss for me on those. They either are hilarious exactly right. Or I'm like, what the fuck is this?
But it's weird. The more you watch them, like I watched the second season, like the night it came out, I was like, it's not as good as the first season. But then the more I watch it, the funnier it gets. It's one of the rare things where you know the joke, and yet you see it. Like there's a scene where he's like just driving, and the guy pulls. I'm not giving anything away, but he's driving, and the guy behind like, oh come on, for fuck's sakes, let's go. And he's like driving in front of me. He's like, move. He's like, I don't know how. He's like, wait, you don't know how to drive? He's like, no. He's like, move your car. He's like, oh okay, duh. I don't know how. It's just that line. Duh. It's so funny to me, but it's like when I watched the first time, this is dumb. But the more I watch it, the funnier they get. It's weird. I think the more you watch them, you probably get into more. It's just, but it's like she's like really hip to comedy, like stuff that I just because I really hate watching comedy.
Yes,
like I really cannot stand watching them. People go, "Hey, watch my special." I'm like, nah, I'd rather not. I mean, I've seen what you do. I'm not that much of a fan, you know. Like I'm always happy my friends get a special. I was getting ready to film mine before the COVID thing happened, and but yeah, I'm like I can't stand watching stand up for the most part because it's just. Plus, I think a lot of it seeps in. You want that stuff to seep in your head, and then you know. But she'll watch stuff, and I go, okay, I'll watch it, and then I'm like, oh, this is great, you know. So she's got a really good sense of humor. I think that's what kind of for us that really helps us because, like, we'll reference that when we're out, and she has ways of. I don't know. She's just. I mean, she really makes me laugh. I think we both make each other laugh, and that's pretty rare after 20 years, you know. Because believe me, even though I'm doing the same act for those 20 years, strangers find it funny, but she's annoyed by it all.
Yeah.
Is there a comic that she likes stand up wise that you're like, ugh?
Oh, I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's a few. Oh God. Yeah, there was who was it she was watching once, and I was like, oh, this guy sucks. And I'd work with him too. So I know he's not only does he suck, but he's also a giant asshole.
Oh, isn't that the worst? And then they enjoy him, and it's just like, fuck that guy.
And you get I remember I can't remember the comic's name though. I can't remember the special. But like when I first so I started touring with Gaffigan for a little bit. And when I say touring, we were doing some regionals. We did like Denver, we did Portland and Seattle shows and stuff. And her and Jim got along great. And then the next time Jim came, he brought his wife. And so her and my wife got along really well. The next day after a gig, I think we did the Paramount together. The next morning we were meeting up at the Seattle Center with all the kids and stuff like that. I'm like, ugh. I saw Jim and it was like, you know, it's like 10 in the morning. I'm like, hey, Jim, you know, it's like,
right.
I didn't really want to do this today. It was raining, walking around Seattle Center, but we had a great time. But, you know, it's funny because she kind of makes it everything seem normal. Like this is what normal people do, you know? And so I always forget that as a comic because you're so focused on like, you know, for me, like a show day is like, you know, if I'm in town, I'm just home all day and I have this kind of ritual I go through before I go to the show. Same kind of thing I do on the road. Whereas, you know, with her, she's like, well, let's go do this first and do this first. And I'm like, well, I don't normally do that during a show day. Yeah. And she's like, you're not in the circus. Relax. You know, you got to wash the horses. I'm like, but it's show day.
I'm trying to.
She's good about getting me out of like normal, like making me do more normal things. You know what I mean?
Right. Like the small social engagements and
just like even going like taking we got bikes, so we got these
there you go.
bikes. We got these bike rides, like these 10-mile bike rides, which is fantastic. But
I'm trying to test. Okay, there. You guys hear me all right?
Yeah, bring it down just a little bit, just a smidge.
How about that?
Back up.
Oh my God.
Okay, you're good. Just leave it there. Just leave it there. You're good.
Don't touch anything?
Yeah. Don't touch anything. You're
good. Okay, so because we're getting close to wrapping it up, Duane. But okay, you were saying that you don't know, but I think you are qualified. We'll do it this way. How about you? What would advice you would give to somebody that wanted to date a comic?
Don't expect too much up front.
Emotionally, financially.
Well, I mean, honestly, if you think about it, I mean, without the last year, whatever, I mean, I've, you know, my little Zoom shows here and there, you know, like here's what I can contribute this month, you know, compared to what I would normally be able to do. It's been rough. I mean, and she hasn't said a word about it. Like, you know, she's been like, hey, so the gigs popping up. I'm like, well, now everything's open up during summer, which is like the worst time of the year for comics.
Right.
You know? And so, but I'm seeing other comics getting work. I'm like, how's that guy getting work? That guy's shit. You know, I'm not getting called up for that gig. But yeah, so that's been, I mean, she's been, I mean, I can't even tell you how much, because she worked through this whole thing with it being a teacher and stuff, So like I owe her well everything, obviously, but yeah, I would say that I think don't expect too much with a comic. But I think even with comics, you got to get out of that. If you want to date someone, you got to get that whole idea of like they're not impressed with your jokes. Like that's the last thing my wife wants me to be is funny.
Right.
And I kind of like it because she's the funny one. Like the people at her work, she's hilarious. And so like I show up my little act, they're like, I'm sure they're going, you're actually funnier than he is, I think he's kind of hacky myself. I've heard those jokes before. But yeah, I would say for comics, like let it just try to be a normal person. You know what I mean? Like nobody's too impressed with what you've done in the past or what gig you got coming up. Like nobody gives a shit,
Yeah.
You care.
Did you
it's your job, but
are you like this too, Duane, where like if I'm dating someone and maybe early on they'll come to a show or two, but then let's say you've been dating a while, I can hear myself echoing. God,
you're fine. Just keep going. Okay. Just keep going.
But then after I turned it down a little bit too much. How's this? Is this better?
Yeah, you're perfect.
Okay, you're just saying that. But like if I've been dating somebody for a while and like they're in their head or in their heart, or maybe they just like it, but they're like, oh, I support. I'll come into your shows. And I'm like, ugh, why? I don't want to hear myself anymore. Why would you want to hear this shit?
Right.
Well, and that's good. I mean, but you got to remember they're going to stop coming, and you can't get angry when they don't come to the show anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's like we used to always come to the show. Is there a problem with this? No, I just don't want to hear your goddamn acts. Like it's not that good.
Andrea,
be careful too, because you start bringing around your comic friends and go, "Wow, I really thought you were funny," and then I saw that guy. He's really good. That's for me sometimes. Like she goes, "Oh, like you guys came up and with the show we were doing, and Kev's like, oh my God, Jay was so funny." I go, well, I wasn't a bag of shit. Like I had some stuff. Oh man, he was so great. I go, yeah, I know. And I've got stuff that's kind of like that too. Cause he's married. I'm married. Like that's what we do.
That's the tough thing is that people don't realize a lot of times, our act doesn't change that much. I wish people knew how hard it is to write a new 5 minutes, but when you're married to us, you hear that, the working on of the material and you're like, I'm tired of it. And, until it's all perfected, and then we move on to the next thing. But to answer Andrea's question below, do comics only date, marry other comics performers in the industry? I would say most of the time, no.
No, I think so.
I don't think that those egos can really stand each other a lot of time. I would say Christina Pazitsky and I can't remember her husband. Tom Segura. That's one of those like magical scenarios where like they are both great and are able
Rich
to,
Voss.
Yeah, but for the most part, I would say we're probably majority dating just regular working class people.
They
should. Victoria said they should probably stop coming to the shows when they can repeat your act.
Exactly.
Funny, my wife she'll remember stuff in my act I forgot. Like she goes, you didn't do that one line that was real. I always loved that line. I said, it's one of those things like I totally forgot, because I just kind of have the base of the joke and I know it, but I like to riff inside and out so it kind of stays new, But she'll remember little lines and stuff like that. I go, oh, that did make it a lot funnier. Yeah, I'll put that back in. And she's always, and for the most part, she's right. There's been some times she's like, I think you should talk about this. I go, well, yeah. I think you should just worry about what you do for a living, and I got my stuff covered.
Yeah, be like, you want to go down to the open mic, try it out?
Yeah. It's funny. I think years ago there was like maybe it was a Christmas party or something like that, and the wives and girlfriends got up and did the other their husbands or whatever wives acts, and it was so funny because she went up there and was like just kind of doing and I was like, I don't know if I like this.
You're like,
I think she would get better laughs with mine too. It's like enough of this weird cosplay thing where this is bizarre. Let's just drink, everybody. Let's get back to it. Yeah.
All right, so we're about to wrap it up. But Duane, you have a dope new show that I wanted you to plug. And tell everybody where they can watch it, what it is, all that stuff.
So it's so since COVID started, I've been doing these Zoom things on the weekends with different comics, and my buddy John Bueller is a really funny comic out of Vancouver, Canada. We've been doing these Zoom shows back and forth on the weekend, just kind of drinking and just talking jokes. Like this would, you guys will appreciate that. There's a comic, and I'll be happy to tell you who he is after the show.
Yeah.
But we're talking about giant hacks. This guy is a giant hack, and I happened to see him on that Byron Allen show.
Oh
yeah.
And this guy's the worst. I mean, in every sense of comedy, this guy is just dog shit. and he had he lifted a line from me, and so I went to the club, and the waitresses were yelling at him like, "Hey, that's Dwayne's. Don't do Dwayne shit." Like we know him, and stuff like that. So I was telling my buddy John this, and then when I turned, I had my 50th birthday during COVID, right? So I wasn't having a big party or anything like that. He sent me a gift, and it was a sweatshirt with that comics headshot on it. But it looks really cool. Like it looks like something you'd pay like $200 for, like really. And it was so funny. It was like, oh, I can't wear this thing anywhere. Like, it's a nice sweatshirt. My son wore it to a Zoom class the next day. And like all the kids were laughing because he like, this is the guy. I mean, he told him the whole story, and very funny. Anyway,
so good.
So we've been doing these things on Zoom, and then we thought we should do some kind of a podcast thing. And then we figured out we could watch a movie online together. And so we've got this new show called Movie Bullies, where basically we take a movie and we just rip it apart for about 25 to 30 minutes. And it's really funny. Our first one is up right now. We're looking at the 1979 classic Over the Edge. It was Matt Dillon's first movie. It's about a bunch of kids in the 70s who were just juvenile delinquents that they have to go to juvie. This is the reason why I never got into trouble. That's why I never did drugs growing up, is because this movie scared me to death. Like, I'm never gonna get in trouble. I'm going to end up in juvie, And so it's a thing where our next movie, or the next one, we just shot it and should be up in a few weeks, is The Boy in the Plastic Bubble with John Travolta.
Oh, classic.
So it's on YouTube. It's called The Movie Bullies with John Bueller and Duane Goad. There it is. That's the one we did.
Over the Edge.
And it came out. It's really funny. It's not. There's a lot of these shows I know online where people watch movies and make fun of them, but the editing is kind of like the third comic in the room. We find some really funny ways to edit it.
Who edits it?
John does a fantastic job of editing. Yeah, because basically, I mean, it looks like we're in the same room because we have our cameras. We have the exact same cameras and lighting equipment. Everything's the same. And we just kind of send these files through a Dropbox and we kind of cut it together, and it's come out really well. But yeah, and he's in Vancouver, I'm in Seattle, and yet it comes out fantastic. So
and when you say we cut it together, you mean him?
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit of a help on the editing, because I'll say maybe not that arrow.
Do you hear that, people out there in TV land? Make sure you check this out. Pick it up, put it on TV. HBO if you're watching, NBC. Dwayne needs a show.
We do not wear matching outfits, Sean McCann, but that might be something for the third episode.
Yeah, I think he's talking about me and Manny.
Cute.
Okay,
like team.
what's your website and all that? Where can people follow you?
Well, you can check out my website, which has not been updated since 1995. It's through Wix.com because I'm doing pretty well. It's DuaneGoad.com. I think it brings you to Wix.com/5/N/ maybe Jay can help me with that. He's a bit of a website type dude. Anyways, it's DuaneGoad.com, and there's really nothing on it because my next gig is I had to cancel my second gig at Tacoma Comedy Club back because I got chest pains. I thought I was having a heart attack, and it was actually just a pinched nerve, gang. Everything's good.
Oh, thank God.
So I'll be there. I'll be at the Tacoma Comedy Club August 8th for their booze and brunch show.
Okay,
nice.
And then I've got a show with Jay's friend Gabe on the 24th. I don't know where at or haven't yet, but
nice.
Oh yeah, I'll text him. He did not sleep much last night. We were playing poker late, so I'll tell him to call you or text you.
Yeah.
Manny, you got anything you're plugging?
Nope, just Hollingsworthless on Tuesday, and we're usually on Mondays for Love and Black and White. But thank you guys for tuning in this Thursday.
Yeah, this is my fault. I'll take all responsibility. I hit up Manny on Monday, and I was like, because I got back from Colorado Springs on Sunday, and Gabe got in Sunday, so I how as comics we like a day to kind of recharge. I didn't get that, so I was like, Monday I hit up Manny. I was like, can we please just move it to Thursday? It was on me. But thank you, Dwayne, for doing it. I'm gonna in the video put your website and then also on for the podcast, and this will be rebroadcast or be out tomorrow.
Yep.
And I think that's it. Until next time, Manulus.
We'll be putting the love back in your right. It's Love and Black and White.
Thanks, everybody.